But yeah, we'll give it a second to catch up because I've got to add it to the other pages. And we'll go there. We'll get all them added in. It is, you know, to say the least, it has been a long travel. And it's, hold on just a second, who called?
I was trying to get Matthew Carter over here.
Dean Hilton just called. Dean just tried calling me. What did Dean just send me a picture of? I'm scared to even think about the picture. Oh, Dean just sent me a picture.
It's probably me. It's probably me. And what is it?
I believe it is you and him and.
Yeah, Steve Klossner and Marlo Ivy.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, we've been together all day today.
Well, yep. It is. I was going to try to get Dean to come on with us tonight.
He was on the road while he should be about home, though. He was on the road about 30 minutes ago.
And get him to join us and give us his how. I'll try to catch him here in a second.
Catch him then, and if you can reach out to Matthew Carter.
Yeah, I was trying to get them all to join us tonight. I could never get Matthew. But yeah, it was, you know, people are going to have to know what is going on because it is a very serious thing.
Yep.
All right, Lance, I just shared it all off of, because I did it on the Farm Show page.
Okay.
So good. You should have it, Lance. You should have it now. Matthew Carter, how are you? There he is right there. Guess who just showed up?
All right, we're good.
Matthew, can you come on with us? If you can, I'll add you on with Morris. But Morris, we're now on all of the pages. On my side. Lance, have you shared it? Got it on your side?
I'm working at it right now. Are you live?
You should.
There we go.
You should see it.
I'm seeing it. There we go. Gotta give it a couple seconds here.
Randy Llewellyn, how are you doing tonight?
There we go. It's shared.
Okay. More late people. We're on here tonight. This is kind of an unusual special for us. We have on with us tonight. There's Dean right there. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. Who you guys are, and we'll go through that spill. And I'll talk to Dean.
Hey, Dean. I'm Morris Murphy.
Good. We're going live to talk about
County.
Trial. You want to come up with us?
And my name's Lance Anthony with Combine Harvester Thrashers, and I'm from Central Pennsylvania, and I manage the grain facility for my dad.
Okay. Well, give me a few minutes, and I'll call you back here.
And yeah, we're getting. So how's your how's the whole day? What all happened today?
Here now, but I'll add you in here in a minute.
What?
Yeah.
In the court. Today was closing remarks in the courtroom. Okay. And you know, to say how things go is kind of hard because you don't never know what the jury's thinking. But I mean, the plaintiff's attorney, he gave his same old spiel about the how life around hog farming is so bad, you know, and which is all blatant lies. And he gave his whole spiel for about 2 hours.
Guys, you know, it's gotten to a point where North Carolina farmers in particular are under attack. They're under attack in a very large way. Morris, give us a little bit of the background of what brought all these lawsuits on and where they are as we sit right now.
right. Well, the first lawsuit actually started about a year ago. It was in April, but these lawsuits actually went into play back in like 2014. They initiated the lawsuits, and it's 500 plaintiffs out of about 4 or 5 counties, and out of 73 farms, 87 farms altogether. But this started a while back, and so the first case went to trial back in April, I think it was, and we're on the 5th trial now. Once a year later, we're on the 5th trial now, and it finished up today. It's in the jury's hands, but it's all supposed to be based on a nuisance lawsuit, and nuisance could be anywhere from smell to flies to a truck going by the road to a buzzer flying in the air. I mean, anything they can grasp that somebody don't like is what it's claimed as a nuisance.
Now,
and so it's gone from. Go ahead.
Now, Morris, are they using scientific evidence with this, or is this more of a witch hunt, pulling whatever info they can find from whatever tree came out of?
It's a witch hunt. They have so-called experts in. Surprisingly enough, none of Smithfield's experts are allowed to testify as experts, but their so-called experts can. Their so-called expert that they like to use so much. One of them is actually is deceased now. He passed away about 2 years ago, I guess, shortly after the trial, the lawsuit started. So he's dead, but he does a testimony via recording or whatever. He has a hidden agenda. He was at one time pretty high up in the Sierra Club and some other stuff. So he already had an agenda, but he's supposed to be a neutral expert. Their other expert, Shane Rogers, he's supposed to be, he's there testifying as an expert on odor, but he's not an odor expert.
How can you have, I mean, can I ask a stupid question? And Lance, how can a dead man testify?
Yep. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. It's kind of hard to rebuttal a dead man, I can tell you that.
I mean, well, how do you ask him a question? How do you verify, how do you clarify something he has said in a deposition?
You don't. I mean, I think he done the deposition with his wife, some of it.
Yeah, this is Matthew speaking. He did the deposition several years ago. Smithfield actually was allowed to go sit in and cross-examine him in his deposition, and that's what they're using in the courtroom now, is his deposition prior to his passing.
Brad, I got Matthew Carter with me now. He stopped by the house here.
Oh, that's a good thing. Matthew, we're glad you joined us.
Hey, glad to be here.
And that's George Carter's son, though, to make you know, this last trial is his son.
Yeah. Everybody, as you should know, the current lawsuit that is in place is Joey Carter's farm. This is the second time this farm has been sued. Matthew is Joey's son, and for the life of me, I've yet to figure out how legally you can sue a farm twice.
Matthew can explain that a little bit, I think. That's right.
Yeah. So the reason why we have multiple cases, there's 87 farms and 26 cases, and my farm is the second case, the 5th case, and now the 11th case. And the reason why is because I have 20-some plaintiffs against me, and they grouped them up in different groups, and I have multiple different litigations against my farm based on different plaintiffs.
Now,
so they're going back.
Now, Matthew, give us a little bit of a geography lesson per se. Let's discuss your farm or your father's farm in relationship to where these plaintiffs' houses are.
The closest one, the farms that we built, we started in 1985. We built the first house on what we call a south operation. We have a south and a north operation. and they're separated by a state highway, which is Paulsville Road. And my dad was within a half a mile of where he built the first hog house in 1985. My dad had a contract and was growing turkey and had hogs on the ground, and him and his dad had a farm roughly a half a mile from where our current sites are now. And my dad had an opportunity to buy the land, and he bought the land and started building his hog houses. And he built one in 85, and he built another one less than a year later. He built the last one on the south side in 1991, and then in 1994, he was able to purchase some land from his dad across the road and build the north operation. And a lot of these plaintiffs at the time, a few of them were there that are in this case, in the second case, but in the first case, the plaintiffs actually bought land from my granddad in 1989 and put their house there in 1990, 5 years after the farm was already in existence. And they bought part of a bean field and put their mobile home on it. And my granddad, over time, he was a developer, and he sold lots to people that lived in the neighborhood. And since our farm was built, we've had 75 more mobile homes and houses built in the area. And still today, there's houses being built within a half a mile to a mile of our operation.
And this is not something. These are not people that you didn't just build the farm there yesterday, and these people have lived there all their lives. These are people that have moved in most cases, after the farm. They've moved. The farm's been there long before they ever moved in.
Not only that, they're not strangers to us. We've been part of that community. My dad has since 1981, 82, and these people, we know these people. I mean, my dad went to school with some of them. We've been neighbors and helped each other out. We've helped them, and they've helped us. And I went to school with their kids, and I mean, we've all been part of the community, and there's never been any kind of complaint made until the lawsuit come about in 2013. And a lot of people don't understand that there was a lawsuit prior to this that was thrown out of our superior court because the plaintiffs were solicited, and superior court judges, based on the right to farm, they threw it out. And a year later, it was refiled against Smithfield. And the first time it was filed against the growers directly, like my dad, and it was thrown out of court and then refiled it a year later against Smithfield.
Correct. And it's also, a lot of people don't realize, number one, it's now in federal court, and number two, it is not anywhere near these farms. These jurors have no chance to see the farms or the surroundings around it. This trial is taking place in Raleigh, correct?
That's right. That's right. And what's important, what he said a while ago, it's in federal court now, because when they put it against Smithfield instead of the grower, Smithfield being being based out of Virginia, it's so it's automatic in federal court. They knew that, and they knew, and I say they, the plaintiff attorneys, and they're out of state too. They knew that it would had to be tried in federal court, and most possibly in Raleigh, 90 to 100 miles away.
Yeah. And at any point, have they ever allowed the jurors to actually see anything to do with the farms?
No, that's excluded in the motions that have been filed by plaintiff's attorney. The jurors cannot come to the farm. Smithfield has offered to take them to a farm, not the farm in the lawsuit, but any farm they pick. And it's been stricken down by the attorneys and the judge. And we have to be careful, even with the videos that we play in court. They don't want any noise. We have to bring the courtroom to Raleigh. I mean, we have to bring the farm to Raleigh, and that's hard to do because, like our lawyers said today, he is very good at what he does, and he tells them to imagine things and imagine the worst possible things, and that's what they think of when they think of our farm. And, if we could carry them out to the farm, it would be a no-brainer. This would be very easy for us to win in court.
And what if you had to, Morris, and I know you've paid a lot of attention, what would you classify? I know when Caskey's picking this jury, what is he looking for? What kind of person is he looking for?
The have any kind of farm background or any remote connection to a farm, or automatically dismissed. You know, he wants the most uninformed person you can find. You know, and he's done a good job on the previous one. I think the last two cases, he's got a little better jury collection, I think, but still, they're all city folks, basically. You know, and
so they have, other than they have no idea, other than they go to Kroger or they go to Walmart and buy a ham, they have no idea how that ham is grown.
They have no idea.
Well, even if they have pictures of your, if their family does with anyone that has any kind of agricultural background or business, they're excluded from being in the church.
And that is, basically, it's been a one-sided. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know I may be out of place. Has there been anything other than it's one-sided, totally against?
Well, in the fourth case, the jury at one point come in and they were a hung jury, and they went back and deliberated some more, and they come back and they agreed to award damages, but it was very, very low on the compensatory damages.
Yeah.
So I think that we had something to build upon there, and if this case is the same as the first four cases, our best option when we get to the appellate court to get an appellate court to hear these rulings and overturn it, and then it'll be put back in the plaintiff's attorney's hands again, and he'll have to decide, does he want to try it again, or because no money changes hands until after it goes through the appellate process.
Right, and even then, and what a lot of people don't realize, the attorneys anyway, in this case, this is not a normal attorney's fee, I guess is the best way to put it, that these attorneys are getting from these people.
40% plus expenses. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, if the only one that wins here is an attorney, plain and simple.
That's right. That's very important. They get 40%, and then they take the expenses out.
Yeah.
You know, get left with nothing. You know.
Yeah, and you're talking. I think I saw a number. Peter Hamlet, how are you doing? He's in Ireland. His is one of our friends, one of our farm life guys from Ireland. If I hear this correctly, Morrison, I think you and I talked about this one time before. The rate after expenses, it came out to almost, I believe, 72 or 73% of what was actually towards the plaintiffs. It was humongous, and
probably more than that. Yeah, they let them grow because they're not having money awarded all. The expenses is actually getting higher and higher. So who knows that number really? You know?
Yeah, and there will never be an honest figure because as we all know, that is not going to happen. But these lawsuits are just the beginning of a large line of what's coming to farmers. It's not bad enough that we're fighting it every day with commodity prices. It's not bad that we're fighting it with commodity prices. It's not bad that we're fighting water. It's not bad that we're fighting wind and rain and snow. But we have these guys that have literally hunted down people to come after farmers.
That's exactly. Well, like you were saying a while ago, never had a problem with them, help them out, you know, your neighbors, and then when these lawyers come in, offer money, the tide changes. You know, they offer them a big payoff, and they kind of explain to them that you're not going to hurt nobody, but if you don't spend any money, don't worry about it. You know, everything will be fine with the Carters. They don't understand they're putting them out of money. At first, they didn't understand they're putting them out of business. Now they understand, but now they don't care because they think they can get some money.
Yeah. Matthew, what does this actually do for you guys' operation?
So, as it's very important to understand there's two types of nuisance. There's a temporary nuisance and there's a permanent nuisance. And the lawsuits currently are a temporary nuisance, which means that they're not asking for anything but monetary in return. So if they would have sued us for a permanent nuisance, whatever they would have said would have been an issue. We could have addressed it and went right back to growing pigs. But because it's a temporary nuisance and we have multiple litigation, then if Smithfield doesn't remove the pigs from our farm, then that opens the door for more punitive damages in the other litigation. So my farms in September, one farm sold out, and in October, the other farm sold out. And currently, we have no pigs on either one of our operations, and haven't.
So, but you still have to maintain those farms as if you had hogs on them day in and day out, regardless, until all this is settled.
Yeah, I've got lagoons that I have to pump. We've got grounds that we have to maintain. We've got cattle and hay fields that we have to maintain. Recently purchased a center pivot. We've got that we have to maintain and continue to make payments on. I mean, it's not that when the pigs go away that we can just stop until we get pigs. Like every day, there's things that we have to do on the farm, but there hasn't been any pigs in the barn at all since October.
Right, and those expenses go on, and yet there's no money. There is no, you guys are having to pay this out of your pocket. There is no money to cover these expenses coming in.
We have a contract with them, and because Smithfield was considered a nuisance because of our farm, that contract it's not valid. So we can't put pigs there until the temporary nuisance has been handled, and that means it's been overturned in the appellate court or it's been settled, and then we can put pigs back in there. But until then, we can't. And if this goes on for 5 years, the way our permits are wrote in North Carolina, we don't maintain at least 250 animals in those barns for a certain amount of days within that 5-year period. Our permit's not valid, and therefore we wouldn't have a permit. It wouldn't be something that was easily reissued.
Yeah, it would take hundreds of thousands of dollars to have your permits reissued. When does your first? I know you guys. When does the first trial that came against y'all go in up in front the appellate judges?
It's finally been filed with the appellate court, and I think in May we're supposed to go up to Richmond, Virginia, to the appellate court. Then for something we're not exactly sure what for, but we've got to be up there in May to hear something in the appellate court with our case.
And what will that now? If it is thrown out at the appellate court, what happens then?
The plaintiff's attorneys have the opportunity to try it again. If the chances of it being thrown out might not be as good as it being overturned based on the ruling, and then we have some more rulings that would come down with it that would restrict what could and couldn't be done by both attorneys and the judge, and it would have to go back in the same courtroom in Raleigh and be heard all over again.
Now, would it be a chance of getting a different judge, or would it have to go back to the same judge?
I'm not sure how that works. I just know from the beginning that the first judge, Britt, he was going to be over all the cases. Then at some point, Favor come in, and they were supposed to alternate back and forth. We don't know for how long, and we don't know if Britt will hear more cases or if Favor's going to be back on the next one. It's kind of one of those things that you just play it by ear. Court dates are set, you come in, and you work through it from there.
Right. Now, Morris, how was the mood in the courtroom through most of this trial? To be honest, how was it? What was that? Was it a lot of tension? Was it a somber mood? What was it? I know Caskey creates a circus, But besides that, how was the mood in the courtroom?
It's very reserved, really. For most of the trial, the plaintiff side, the only thing that was most of the plaintiffs most of the day. Now, the day was a big day because everybody was in, the riverkeeper was there, environmentalists, all different trial was there on their side. But the mood was, everybody, even like everybody was respectful on our side. I saw probably described it pretty good, but we're all fairly, even on our side, fairly optimistic, and try to keep each other built up, but the mood in the courtroom will decide, and when they hand down the ruling, that's when the circuit really shows up. But you cut it like a knife when you walk in. Everybody's on one side, everybody's on the other side. Nobody talks back and forth to each other. So there's a lot of tension right as far as that concerns.
Now, it is in the jury's hands now, or it will be put in their hands tomorrow, correct?
It's in their hands now.
Okay. So we will be, give or take, tomorrow or the next day, we'll be hearing from them.
I would say so about Friday. You should know something one way or the other. I don't think it'll go past the weekend. Look, we had one case, the third case. They got it at 3:15, and the next one at 9:30. They have a verdict.
Yeah.
That jury when that's the one they wanted so much money. That jury was just I don't know what.
Well, and that was, and the thing that you got to look at there, and that's kind of what we had talked about a while back. Matt and I had talked about that jury there. It was so fast. It was like, how did they go over any of the information that they had gone over?
Yeah, they didn't. That's what's scary. You would hope, even, I don't care what the verdict is, for us or for them, you would hope they at least deliberate a day anyway.
Yeah, at least give it a full day of discussion.
Yeah, at least, and then the money will be rational. What they find in favor of the plaintiff, a rational number, like $100.
Yeah, not something. We all legitimately know that the numbers they've been given so far are not even feasible. There's no feasibility to any of that. Matthew, how is your dad? How is your dad and your mom holding out in all of this?
Now with the case combined, they've been sitting up there in that courtroom for 50 days. They go up on Sunday afternoon. They stay up there and cook over, and they come home, and they have a lot of support at home. A lot of support in our church. Pastor goes up there as often as he can. A lot of farmers in the community, very supportive people. A lot of different agribusiness we have in the area to put people in the courtroom, and my dad's always trying to take the opportunity to thank each and every for coming, and support's been overwhelming, and I think it means a lot to my family, and they really can't express how much it means to them. But they're thankful for everybody that comes and takes the time to reach out to them.
And if people are not realizing what that has gone against, it's not one trial that takes a toll on you for weeks at a time, but this is a continual there. And you've got what, 2 more after this one, Matthew?
One more, and my daddy, he's involved with it enough that he every other case that has been, excluding the first one, he goes to the opening, he goes to the closing, he goes to when the grower, the producer, they testify, and tries to show his support. So he's in the courtroom a lot.
And it does take a mental and physical toll on you, and people, that is a hard thing to deal with. Now, Morris, with the other trials, what is the next trial that comes up after this one?
There's Kentner County.
Yeah.
And they hadn't had any hogs on them in 2 years. They're farms that are
been shut down.
Yeah, and there's opportunity there, I think, for another buyer to purchase them and maybe build some new barns on them, but they've not been in operation for 2 years.
Yeah, and nothing's going to take place now until after the May is going to be the 40th day, the first week of May, the appellate court. There's no new discovery going out now, right?
Yeah, there's no.
So literally after your verdict comes in, we're at a holding point until May when you guys go up in front of the appellate court for the first go round.
Right. Yeah, that'll be a game changer one way or the other. I feel like,
Morris, I think you're right. I wholeheartedly think you're right. And that is something, people, that we need to realize. This is not, and this is, I've said it before and I've said it many times before. This is not just affecting that farm. There are 49,000 people employed in the pork industry in North Carolina. Is that correct, Morris?
Something like that, yeah.
This affects 49,000 families. Not one family, not two, not 26. 49,000 families.
$11 billion in North Carolina's economy is directly supported. $11 billion. That's a beat.
In the billions.
In North Carolina, with all the different integrators that we have in Duplin County, there's around 530 operations alone just in Duplin County. And in Blading County, where the processing plant is, the processing plant employs 6,000 people.
Now these farms, I know Travis and I had talked about this on the air before. How many animals were in your farm, Matthew?
I'm permitted for 4,740 spaces. I had 4 720 topping floors and 3 620 topping floors. And my dad and I took care of them, and as well, I have 2 other farms that I take care of 7 days a week. I had about 12,000 head space that I take care of every day, finishing floors. But now, with my dad's farm out of operation, it's around 7,000 head that I take care of. And my other farms that I maintain, they're not in the lawsuit.
Now, and going back to some of the things that you guys, during the hurricane, you guys pretty much kept running round the clock with no problems. I mean, you had problems, but you were able to maintain what needed to be maintained.
Yeah, we've had a lot of experience with major hurricanes here in eastern North Carolina. We're very close to the coast, and here our farmers are your local responders as well. And a lot of times, I've heard Marsh say this himself, your animals on the farm, they have electricity, they have feed, they have water, and here at home, we don't have that because we're on the farm as much as we can be before, during, and after the storm until everything gets back to normal.
We were 7 days without power here at the house, and the hogs never knew it. They had power and feed water every day. Other than the wind blowing, they didn't know the hurricane out there.
Oh, exactly. Lance, do you have any questions you'd like? I know you usually have some that while we're talking, you usually come up with 1 or 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just take it from the perspective. What does the jury have in any way, shape, or form that could basically support you guys and basically work for you to basically help you guys out?
The biggest thing is the plaintiffs have what they call a preponderance of evidence. They have to produce enough evidence to show it's not that it's a nuisance to them. And what they do is if he shows them what they'll get from the jury instructions, and he checks the boxes that he would like for them to check, and they hear both damages at the same time, compensatory and punitive. And by law, you're supposed to hear compensatory first, and if you find in favor of compensatory, then you find out, how much money they make so that you can assess punitive damages. And Faber, he handled his case that way, and Britt, it lets you hear both at the same time, which goes toward our appeals in the appellate court. And they're instructed on how they need to vote and and he even said, if you're unsure, it's okay. There's somebody else in there that might be able to think. And he's got a formula. He says there's no way that you can put an exact amount on it, but he's saying that he feels like each plaintiff should be awarded $3 to $5 million apiece, and he's set up a pattern in multiple cases asking for that certain amount. But our lawyers are really good at saying he brings you experts, and he doesn't bring you the plaintiff until later on, and he uses very little of the plaintiff's testimony. He hinges it all on these experts, and he tries to put smoke and mirrors out there and talk about water quality issues and health issues and all that. But in the lawsuit, they're not suing for any of those. They're not suing for property damage.
No, and that's it. Have you guys ever? This is something that I'm glad you mentioned that. At any time, have you guys ever been cited for any environmental issues?
34 years, we've never had an NOC with
not a single violation.
Not one single violation. And that is something that everybody needs to realize. In 34 years, not one single violation. None.
There's even a corn to be used as a test farm for alternative technology. We've had multiple visitors on our farm. We even had a farm rally that was on our farm recently, and we've had dignitaries, we've had representatives, we've had senators, we've had the governor, we've had news media. Our farm, as long as we know ahead of time and we can make sure that biosecurity is followed, we don't mind allowing people to come on our farm, and we offer it up because we're proud of our operation.
Absolutely. And you guys do have a good operation. I don't think I have seen one operation in North Carolina that has even been close to even not even being top of the line. I think especially it almost seems to me like every one of them that they picked on for these lawsuits were Morris, what would be the best way to say it? Top of the line farms, like they were trying to purposely bully.
Yeah, the most pristine farms. Like the very first case, I don't think the farm perked up until but it was a top of the line farm. Yeah. I mean that guy, they call him. He walked by and threw a cigarette butt down. He couldn't crawl you, Doug. It's just pristine, Yeah. And the Carter farm the same way. I'll just my yard, but as good as that farm did.
Well, and that is something people need to realize. These are not old school farms. These are very modern, technologically advanced farms that are top of the line. These are not just a bunch of hogs out in the field.
One thing I want to mention while ago too, when he's talking about the support we have in the community. When you ride by on the highway and you see a billboard and you have several car dealerships in support of hog farmers, because they would get in the middle of this if they didn't know that most folks really care about hog farmers.
Right.
There's a small few attacking hog farms, and a business would stick his neck out of the line if he didn't think that the community really supported our way of life down here. To me, I think that speaks a lot.
It does speak a lot. It speaks a whole lot. Lance, have you got any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, another thing that crosses my mind is, we have, they've gone after the best, top of the line, state of the art hog farms in general. Has it ever been proposed that, say, if we're going against these kinds of farms, then what kind of farms are we supposed to have? We can't, like, if you go after the best farms and those ain't good enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, there isn't room to be better. I mean, how do you expect to make food production in such a case for the main public?
So you can't win with these folks because it's like on their farm. They've changed technologies on how they apply the I don't like to use the word waste, but the nutrients, and every time if they switch it from a real system like to the airway and can't design, that means you have a problem. So you can't try and even better your farm, because if you do, then that says that the way you were doing it was wrong.
Right.
And
right.
That's the way they use it on you.
And no matter what you do or try to do, you're considered wrong. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you're considered wrong.
Exactly.
And the state, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people understand this, but in North Carolina in the 80s, in the early 80s, we were hit hard with a recession, and farmers transitioned away from tobacco and row crop. And our state said, hey, think that the swine industry is where to go. So the state finance, as far as through our local soil and waters and NRCS, they help the growers and put up 75% of the cost associated with building the lagoon and laying out the irrigation pipe and waterways and pastures and all that. And they put us in business, and in court, he uses that against us and says that all that money that we're getting to the state is being from his taxpayers, that his plaintiffs are paying taxes, and then in turn their tax money is being taken and used by us to put a nuisance in next door to them. So that's, and you can't win.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, you guys I've seen some of the farms in North Carolina, and I've seen farms in Illinois, I've seen farms in a couple other places. The North Carolina farms are way far advanced from some of these others that I've seen. And for the life of me, I just, it's all pure greed from what I see. There is no, I know I'm supposed to stay neutral and present the facts, but I mean, it is what it is. And if Dustin were here now, he would be yelling at me. He would be letting me know I should be neutral, but I'm not. So that's where I stand.
One important detail that a lot of people don't understand is in 2010, Smithfield bought out Premium Standard. I think it was 2006, 2007. And in Missouri, the operations that they bought there, they had reached an agreement, Premium Standard, with the Attorney General to put in the covers and all those kinds of things over the lagoon.
Yep.
Smithfield bought those farms, and those lawyers from Georgia and Kansas that brought those lawsuits against Premium Standard in Missouri were the ones that come here. So they left a payday there and come here chasing another payday, and it was thrown out by our Superior Court judges, refiled again against Smithfield. So I think that we're next. The target's on us, but after they move away from here, there's another state. There's another industry, maybe even here in North Carolina, that's next on the chopping block. That's the poultry industry. And
yep.
They got foot in the door, and if we don't slam the door on them, they're here to stay.
Well, when you start talking poultry, you're talking chickens and turkeys, and when you're talking birds, you're talking a totally different battle. And that, I wholeheartedly see that's next. And then the next thing, what are they going to do? Are they going to get us for spraying cotton because it stinks?
Yeah, you're trespassing. So the dust from your combine that you're picking your corn, or if it leaves the boundary of your property, that's the next avenue. You've been considered trespassing because the dust leaves your property, and we don't have to tighten up legislation there because they're going to go after our road crop farmers next.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I think you're 100% right. This is a total attack on U.S. farmers. It's not just pork producers. It's total farmers. And where will it end? At what point will all of this end?
When we're all broke.
when we're not producing food anymore, and people are there. I had somebody today in a conversation when I said something about American farmers being under attack. He said, well, that's fine. We'll just import the beef or the pork. I said, now how are you going to do that when no other country in the world has the standards the United States has?
Yeah.
But that's the mentality. We can bring it from somewhere else cheaper and do it that way.
And our national security is at risk when we do that, because
Absolutely.
we have to depend on foreign nation for our food supply. We're at their mercy, and we have to bow down to that demand.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then what else are we producing? I mean, we already have like China and Mexico and everybody else making our cars and our vehicles. I mean, we're literally gonna produce anything. I mean, agriculture is one of the last things that we actually produce and export and make. I mean, literally, we're going to depend on the rest of the world to function.
Absolutely,
Right.
And you're right. We are. It has to stop sooner or later, because people are going to get. They have no idea. People have no idea where their food comes from anymore. They don't.
It's going to take the American consumer to really stop it all, but I don't know if you can get them behind us. Like I said, they don't know where the food comes from, and I don't know what to think. I hate to think what it is going to take. It's going to take them going hungry to really wake up, but I don't know.
Well, I've had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were discussing, believe it or not, we were discussing hamburgers. And the very first thing they said is, well, don't tell so-and-so that they killed the cows to make the hamburgers. And I'm like, well, wait a minute here. The cows, I guess the hamburgers are made in the hamburger factory.
Here in our county, we do a very good job. A lot of our integrators contribute to this. We have some curriculum in our schools, and we teach the kids from elementary school all the way through, and actually offer them some opportunities in high school to do some co-ops and get early college credits and get into the workforce. And then our integrators actually offer them, positions where they can work their way up into management and service positions. We do a very good job here, but right now our battles are being fought, 20 miles from home in the counties that agriculture is not their number one need for jobs. So what we got to do here and what we got to do all across the nation is, as farmers, for a long time, we just farmed and we didn't educate. We're taking larger strides, and we've got to continue to do that moving forward, to educate those generations removed from the farm where their food comes from and what it takes to make it, and how important the American farmer is to national security and our nation as a whole.
And there's really not much more anybody can say. I mean, we are going through. You've got a urban area that this trial is being tried in, and really, the education that you guys have, the curriculum, they are removing so much of vocational out of schools that should be put back in. And yes, Dean, farmers make America great. You're absolutely right. Keep making. Bacon is the favorite food in America. We all know that.
Everything good with bacon.
You got to have bacon. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being with us tonight. Lance, have you got anything else you want to add while we're on here?
It's only going to get worse, and I think I know we're not supposed to get, bring a lot of crazy stuff in here, but or whatever. But if you really think about it, our only hope is if the government at some point recognizes that we can't destroy our food production, and this is another thing is prayer. We cannot pray enough to hopefully somehow change the public and somehow educate them of this. And there's not much. It feels like we're fighting a battle that can't be won almost.
Education, as you're right, Lance. Education and educating the public should be our number one priority.
But there's one thing that we need to mention is that the farmer is the most optimistic person that you'll meet because they plant a seed hoping for a good crop. So even though that in our area what we're going through right now is a tough time, there's a lot of support, and we see that in the end that something, even though we're going through all these hardships, something good's going to come out of it. We've seen a lot of good already, so we're still staying positive and want to make sure that everybody understands that we're here for the long haul. We're not going to give up.
And that's but that's typical for most farmers. We don't give up when everybody else does.
Next year's going to be better.
And next year next year will be better. Next year it's going to be better. We're going to come through this and it will be better next year. Well, guys, I appreciate.
What's all said and done, we'll come out stronger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being here with us tonight. And of course, when the verdict comes back, we will come back on here again and we'll discuss that. But in the meantime, guys, we hope you guys have a great night. We're going to get off of here and try to get a little shut eye tonight and start it all over in the morning. But I'm glad you guys joined me. For those of you guys that are from the Farm Show that are watching, this was our first live on the Farm Show. I know it is not Canadian, but this is something that affects everybody. It affects north of the border and south of the border. And we're glad you guys joined us. Lance, I'm glad you joined me as usual.
Absolutely.
Morris, I'm glad you and Matthew were with us tonight, and we hope you guys all have a great night. Morris, if you would, tomorrow when you hear something, just post it and let us know, and Lance and I will take it and go from there.
All right. As soon as I find out, I'll let you know.
All right, guys.
I just have no boundaries, so don't think just because you're a captain, it won't happen.
Yep, exactly. Guys, we hope you got everybody. We hope you guys have a nice night, and thank you for joining us. We will be back later. In the meantime, everybody stay safe. I would say let's enjoy the weather, but I think everybody's got the same bad weather we've all had. Anyway, you guys have a great night, and pray for the farmers in North Carolina. They need prayers. They need lots of prayers. In the meantime, you guys all have a great night, and we'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Thank you.